so glad. I tell you, I have the opportunity to speak to an awful lot of organizations, and for years now, because I've been privileged to be with you on quite a few occasions. I want you to know you're right at the top. You have to understand. Listen to me very carefully. I'm getting feedback on this mic. Am I not? Now let's see what happens. I think I'm going to be okay. Okay. Listen to me very carefully. You can get into a lot of organizations. I teach the law of the lid. And the law of the lid basically says how well you lead determines how well you succeed. And when you become part of an organization, your success is greatly dependent upon the leadership of that organization. If the leadership isn't, I mean, let's just say from a 1 to 10, the leadership is average, it's 5. What that means is when you join that group of people, you basically can only get up to about a 4. That leadership lid of the company, the organization, is going to hold you down. And so when you say, okay, I want to be a part of something, the first question you've got to ask is, how are the leaders? Are they competent? Are they people of character? Are they good people? Do they know what they're doing? Are they successful themselves? Can they lead themselves? You begin to ask yourself those questions. Now, the reason I say that is, I'm with a lot of organizations. The leadership of AM is just tops. It's outstanding. You have leaders who love people, who love what you're doing, who are on a passion and a mission to make a difference in people's life. So I just think, starting right off to you, congratulations for being a part of a company that really makes a difference. I mean, you start Jerry and Jerry and Jerry and Jerry and Jerry, and then you got Jerry and Jerry. In fact, it's so bad. I have very close friends, and his name is Jerry, and her name is Jerry. So we call him Jerry he and her Jerry she. It's the only way I know how to keep them apart. You know, Jerry she and Jerry he. But it's just it's great to be back. Thanks for having me, because I have such respect. I have such respect for you as a company and organization. And then Brian, my precious friend. You talk about a leader. When I see Brian Clear, I always am grateful that I've had a little, not a lot, I've had a little impact on his life. Because really all I want to do is add value to followers. Or add value to leaders who will multiply value to followers. All I want to do is pour my life into leaders, because once you pour your life into a leader, there's a multiplication effect that begins to happen. A leader influences many. So if you talk to 100 leaders, you could be influencing 10,000 people. And so whenever I can get to leaders and I can influence them, I know there's a multiplication effect. I call it Maxwell math. And I spent my life doing Maxwell math and adding value to people and pouring into them. And so to be here with you today and talk about the laws of growth, which I'm incredibly passionate about, it is such an honor. So we've got a lot of work to do. So can we get started? Is it okay? Huh? Are you ready to learn? Huh? Are you ready to learn? Okay. So look at your neighbor and say, you're about to learn something. Go ahead and tell them. You're about to learn something. Yeah. Okay. Look back at them and say, and that's the reason I brought you here. Hello. Wait, why do you think you're here? I'm 70. At 70, I think you have a perspective of life that's different than when I had it, certainly at 40 or even 50. You begin to look at life and you begin to say, okay, there are a few things I'm really certain about. Now, to be honest with you, as you get older, you become less certain about a lot of things. When I was 20, oh my gosh, I was so stinking good at 20. I mean, I just wish I could go back and be that good again. Because I was certain about things. You just asked me anything, and I could give you an answer. I was like Mr. Confident Answer Man. And I had an answer. And one of my greatest fields of expertise at 20 was in child raising. I was so good at child raising. I could just tell you how to raise your kids. Oh my gosh. I just knew how to raise kids. And I had some great child raising speeches. Until I had a child. Now, when we had Elizabeth, it really went kind of good. And I was for about 2 years really still good on child because she was just a really good kid. And then Joel came along. If Joel would have been the first child, he'd been the only child. And all of a sudden, I stopped child raising speeches. You see, what happens is as you get older, you become less certain about stuff. And you become less certain about stuff because you get old enough to understand things and see things from a broader, more mature perspective. And so, in the beginning, what you didn't question, you questioned. And you're a little slower to always buy in because you just realize life doesn't always pan out the way you have your answers. Now, I say that because I have a teaching. I've never done that here, but once in a while I'll do it. Once in a while, not long, maybe twice a year, not a lot. I'll go somewhere and they'll say, "John, we want you for a whole day." And when I have a lesson that just basically says, if I could spend one day with you. And in this teaching, I just talk about there are 5 things. If I could spend a day with you, and you and I were across the table, and this was my only shot, I'm never going to get to see you again, and you just looked at me and said, "Okay, pour into me. What are you going to say to me when you can only have one day with me, and it's your only shot?" And in this teaching, I talk about there are 5 things that I'll talk to you about. And if I could just get these 5 things through to you, then I would feel really good to say goodbye, and I would feel like I gave you maybe a game plan to set you up pretty good for life. Now, the reason I'm saying that today for you is that one of those 5 things, obviously I don't have time to teach all of it, but the one of those 5 things that I would tell you if I had a day with you is that you have to be passionate about your personal growth and your personal development. In fact, I would tell you the passion and the commitment to personal growth is the greatest indicator of how successful you're going to be in life. People know me for leadership, but I can tell you, if somebody would ask me, what's your real passion in life, it's personal growth. In fact, everything I know about leadership is because I have a passion to personally grow, to develop myself. In fact, if I could come off the stage and you and I could just have a conversation, just us, okay? And I could just go one-on-one with you, I would ask you 2 questions. Because these 2 questions are going to determine in ambit how successful you're going to be. Trust me, these 2 questions are just going to determine it. The first question I'd ask you is what is your plan to develop yourself? What are you doing right now to get better in personal growth? What's your plan? The second question I would ask you is what's your plan to develop the people around you? The first one is about your personal success. The other is about your leadership team success. The first one will let you add in life. When you develop yourself and you get better, you can add. You will become what I call an addition person. You'll be able to add in your life and have some measured amount of success. The second question is a multiplication question. Because the moment you and I can add value to people and develop people and help them, now all of a sudden, all those people that you have helped develop, now they're going to be able to help maximize your energy. They're going to be able to economize your influence. Everything in life is going to begin to get on a multiplication factor because you're now helping other people grow and helping other people develop. And that's why I'm here today. I'm here for one reason. Because if I can spend a little time with you today on personal growth, and if I can put in your hand resources and tools and principles in your mind and heart that'll help you grow yourself personally, and then will help you grow your team personally, I'm here to tell you, your life is about to get much better, and your business is about to get better. Okay, you got it. You got it. It's never happened to me before, but it happened to me once, so it's the only story I've got about this. Do you see how I get you interested in the story before I ever tell you? It's a communication tool, by the way. I'm not here to teach communication, but that's a communication tool. You set the stage and then tell the story. Some people tell the story and they never set the stage. I kind of thought, oh crap, it could have been better. But it happened to me once. I woke up 3:30 in the morning and I knew what I had to do immediately. Put on my robe and went down to my office. And I began on a legal pad. I write with a 4-color pen and a legal pad. I began on a legal pad to put down what I thought were laws of growth. Now you have to understand, for 38 years I had been on an intentional personal growth plan. So I understood personal growth really well, but I had never just written out what I think are the laws of growth. What do you really need to obey and know to really grow? That started at 3:30 that morning. By noon, the entire book was outlined. I laid out all the laws. And I thought, it's time. It's time for me to help people know how to grow. Because what I've discovered is, most people don't have a plan for the growth, and most people don't have a strategy to grow. And so therefore, the growth that they have is not intentional, and so therefore it's minimal. So I began to lay out those laws of growth. And as I've now written the book, and it's become it's just helped so many people. As I've written the book and discussed it a lot, there are 4 things that I want to give you right now that just tells you that growth matters. Why is growth so important? And out of all the laws of leadership, or all the laws of personal growth, these 4 things I want you to get kind of as an introduction for our growth day that we're going to have today. Here we go. The first thing I want to share with you is this. Growth is the only guarantee that tomorrow is going to get better. When I talk to people about tomorrow, I find that there's a lot of people that they hope tomorrow gets better. They'll say, well, yeah, I hope that everything comes out good. I'm thinking about this. I hope that that'll work. And I just want you to know, hope is a wonderful thing, but it's not a strategy. So it's a wonderful thing to have hope, but it's not a strategy. And if you're just kind of hoping tomorrow is going to get better, I've got news for you. I can guarantee tomorrow to get better. I can promise you. I can promise you tomorrow's going to get better if you will begin to be intentional in your personal growth. So look at the person you're sitting beside and say to them right now, tomorrow could be better for you. Go ahead and tell them. It could be. It could be. Now, hey, the person you just said that to, look at him and say, and dear God, I hope it is. Now, here's what's beautiful. The person you just said that to, they're in control of if it's going to get better or not. Listen to me very carefully. This isn't an inanimate issue at all. This isn't anything about the company. This isn't anything about your family. This isn't anything about what you've done or where you've been or what you're experiencing. Listen to me very carefully. Every one of you in this room right now, you are in personal control of tomorrow getting better. In fact, the only person that can make tomorrow better for you is you. Ambit can't make tomorrow better for you. Trust me, there are people in the Ambit organization, they're just doing really well. But there are other people in the Ambit organization, it's not getting any better for them. Listen to me. The only person that can control tomorrow getting better for you is you. And the only way that it's going to get better is for you to get intentional about your personal growth. You see, the calendar guarantees we're going to get older. Yep. Did you ever realize you don't have to work on getting older? I mean, nobody ever gets up and says, oh my God. Okay, thank you, John. Thank you. Focus. I gotta get older. Getting older is automatic. Getting better is not. That was kind of timid. That was a much better statement. This could take longer if you're going to be that slow all day. You understand, this could take a little longer than I had planned. Now, the calendar guarantees you're going to get older. But you guarantee if you get better. And I'm always amazed. I know I did it the second time for the people who didn't get it the first time. I'm glad people gave me a second shot a lot of times because I didn't get it the first time. I went to my 50th high school reunion. This was amazing. 188 of us graduated. I hadn't seen most of those kids since they graduated from high school, so I went back to the 50th high school reunion, and I was a little bit late because I was coming from a conference. So I came to the meeting maybe, 30 minutes late, so most of the kids were already there in that home assembly. And I walked in there, and I stopped. I took like 3 steps, and I stopped. And I looked at Margaret, and I said, these people are old. I mean old. And she looked at me and she said, they're looking at you and thinking the very same thing. And so I spent my evening with those old people. And then, I tell you what, I have to honestly say, I was a little depressed. In fact, I went back to my hotel room that evening, and of course I write every day, and I've been around old people like for 3 hours. First of all, I was very amazed because I'd seen these kids walk by. I had no idea how many of my graduating class became pharmacists. My God. And I know they were pharmacists because all night long, all they wanted to talk about was medicine. So I went back, and on my legal pad with my 4-color pen, I sat at my desk in my little hotel room, and I put 7 ways to intentionally not act old. This is for me. I thought this won't ever be for anyone else. This is just for me because I've been around old people, and yeah. In fact, honestly, when I finished that 3 hours with them, we're going back to the hotel, and I just almost pulled into ER. It was just like, something's got to be wrong. Something, you know. I felt good going in, and after it going out, I thought, I got some problems. I got to find out what they are. I got to get it. Come on, give me an exam. Lay me on the table. Tell me, what am I dying of? What do I got? I got something. I got to have something. So here's what I wrote. 7 ways to intentionally not act old. This has nothing to do with the lesson. But it's in front of it. Number 1, ask questions. You know what I've learned about elderly people? They stop being curious and inquisitive. And when you stop asking questions about life, you're starting to lose interest in life. Number 2, keep the bar of excellence high. Old people lower their standards. They get tired. They get complacent. Number 3, be people-centric. Because old people become self-absorbed. To be honest with you, they just talk about themselves all the time. 4, be posture conscious. Old people slouch. I've been really working on my posture because I slouch. But man, old people do that. You see, I know I'm getting older. I know that. That's automatic. We've already discussed that. I know I'm getting older. I just don't want to get old. I'm getting older. But I don't want to get old. And number 5, remain today focused. Because old people, you know what they talk? They talk about yesterday. Oh my gosh. They talk about the good old days. They weren't that good. We just have memory loss. True story. On that same reunion weekend, I got with my basketball team. And we were pretty good. We won our league championship, and we thought we were pretty good. And so we had a dinner together, and we sat for 2 hours and talked about how good we were. Oh, it was so much fun. And then Tom Smith said, you know what, guys? I brought a film of our high school basketball game. He said, would you like to see it? Oh, come on, let's see it. And then he put this black and white, rainy, no sound, jumpy video of us playing basketball, and we all got quiet. Do you know what happens when reality intersects with memory? Within 3 minutes, we said, Smitty, turn it on, turn it on, turn that thing on. We'd rather just talk about how we play. We don't want to see us play. We want to talk about how we play. I got a sign in my office, I love it. It just says, yesterday ended last night. Isn't that beautiful? Just get over it. Just get over it. If it was a good day, get over it. Because the problem with good days is you kind of rely on good days, and what got you there won't keep you there. Success is sometimes the greatest detriment of more success because we get complacent and satisfied. So if you had a good day yesterday, it ended last night. It's over. If you had a bad day yesterday, it ended last night. It's over. Today matters. Today matters. And by the way, you know, when you get older, they tell you to slow down, and I've never understood this. Slow down. You got to speed up. You don't have much time left. Slow down. I mean, now if you're in your 20s, slow down. If you're in your 70s, speed up, baby. Hit the gas. You don't have much time left. Here's what I want you to know. The next level of living that you're going to have requires It just does. It does for me, and it also does for you. So the only guarantee that tomorrow's going to get better is that you're growing today. So when people say, I hope that tomorrow gets better, I say, well, you can change that hope to a guarantee, but you've got to start growing today. The second reason growth matters is that growth means change. The reason many people resist growth is because growth is a constant, continual change in your life. I saw a cartoon the other day where a leader was looking at all these people, and he was asking them, how many of you want things to change? And everybody had their hand up in the air, and then he asked them the second question, how many of you want to change? And nobody had their hands in the air. It's kind of like, we don't mind change as long as it doesn't affect us. In fact, we want everybody, we have a plan for everyone else to get better and to be fixed and to change. Toffler, in his book Future Shock, said the illiterate of the future are not those who cannot read or cannot write, but they are those who will not learn, unlearn, and relearn. He said, you're going to be the illiterate. If you can't learn, unlearn, relearn, and continue that cycle of learning, unlearning, and relearning, he said, you're going to get left behind. Learning, what do I know today that I didn't know yesterday? Unlearning, what did I let go of today that I held on to yesterday? Relearning, what am I changing today that I did not change yesterday? When I was 17, my father was still alive. He's going to be 96 in November. I was just with him last week. I told him that I was going into ministry, that I was going to be a speaker. And at 17, he said, John, if you're going to do that, then you have to read every day and you have to file every day. You have to understand, you've got to keep your, he even called it the well. The well that you draw from. He said, you got to keep it full. You got to keep it full of water. You got to keep it full of ideas and thoughts and stories. He said, you just got to keep the well full so you have something to draw out of. He said, what's sad is to see a person at 65 and their well is dry. He said, don't let your well go dry. And so at 17, I started to systematically, intentionally file every day. Now I still do today. And so therefore, I have resources that are way more than anyone else has. I have more resources at my fingertips than probably anybody that you would ever know. Because I've done this religiously every day. So I don't have hundreds of thoughts, I have thousands of thoughts. I don't have thousands of quotes, I got 10,000 of quotes. Because I do this every day. And it's become my well. In fact, Random House told me recently that I had written more leadership material than any man that's ever lived in the history of the world. And I looked at him, I said, that's no big deal. I said, I have collected more leadership material than any man who's ever lived in the world. You see, you got to get it in. You got to collect it. You cannot give what you do not have. I know a whole bunch of people trying that every day. They don't have it, they're trying to give it away. It's called empty. So you've got to understand, I not only file quotes every day, but I file articles. And when my kids were in college, this was before all the technology today, when my kids had a subject in college, they just called me and I'd very quickly just send them a whole folder. I mean, I have 1,400 subjects filed away. And I remember a couple of years ago, it started to bother me about the files. And I'm talking about learning, unlearning, and relearning. And I felt that I was too dependent upon yesterday. I thought I was too dependent upon what I had filed in my past. And when I would pull out the files, so much of it was kind of dated. And I thought, that no longer satisfies me. It did when I filed it, but it doesn't now. And so I made a huge decision. Didn't tell anybody, not even Margaret. I didn't tell anybody because I was scared to tell anybody. I decided to get rid of all my files. You said, did I hear you? Yeah, you heard me. I decided that everything that I had depended upon, I was going to let go. So we were at that time living in a condominium in So I got a couple of the bellmen there, and I talked to them, and I said, now look, I'm going to leave in a couple of hours, and when I leave, I want you to remove all these filing cabinets. Just remove them and take them somewhere, but don't tell me where they are. Because I realized I would have to second guess myself, and I'd go try to trace them in. I said, you just remove them, and so for a couple of hours, I went through the files, and I truly sat on the floor. Margaret was gone, and my wife around me, and I just cried. I just held stuff, and I looked at it, and I thought, man, yes. Kumbaya. And so that when the appointed hour was, I left for a couple of hours. When I came back, immediately went over to where they were all filed, and they were gone. And then I sat on the floor and really cried. I just said, you are a stupid man, John. You just let go years of work. But can I tell you something? One of the greatest decisions I ever made. What did that cause me to do? It caused me the next day when I started to write. I had to rely on what I'm learning now, what I'm experiencing now, what I'm discovering today. It began to unleash creativity because I no longer could depend upon the crutch. I had let it go. It's the old South American story when the explorers went there and he burned the ships when they got on land. They got 8 miles off land, and he turned around and he said, look back, man, and all the ships were burned. He said, you're not going home. This is where you're going to, hey, you better like it here. You ain't going home. And this was a burning the ships for me. And what I realized is I had to let go of yesterday to get better today. And all I'm saying to you, in fact, I'm going to read this to you because I wrote this. I said, here's what I wrote. I wrote this as I was on the floor after they took them away. If we don't change, we don't grow. And if we don't grow, we are not really living. Growth demands, listen to this, a temporary surrender of security. It may mean giving up a familiar but limiting patterns of life, safe but unrewarding work, beliefs that no longer are believed in, relationships that have lost their meaning, and files that cannot take me to the next level of living. If yesterday still excites you, you're not growing today. I love yesterday, I value yesterday, but I live and fuel myself off of today. The third thing about growth that I want you to know is that growth is a great separator, and it's a great separator between those who succeed and those who do not. In fact, if you ask me, what is the great separator in relationships? What's the great separator in business? It would be that one person grows and the other does not. And you have to understand that if you're going to excel in life, and if you're going to be successful in life, and if you're going to be a person of significance in life, you have to fight against the pull of average. Because average people want you to stay average. And so anytime you begin to want to do something a little bit bigger or something a little bit better or something kind of new, you got to understand, average people are reaching up and as you're trying to climb out of the barrel, they're reaching up and they're doing their very best to pull you down. And the reason they're doing their best to pull you down is you're getting out of their comfort zone. You see, you have to overcome your comfort zone, but even more importantly, you've got to overcome their comfort zone. Because those that are around you, they want you to think, average people think life is a snapshot. Take it once and it lasts forever. And it's a video. It's a movie. It's going on every day, whether you want it to go on every day. And so what happens is when you begin to grow, I had to outgrow yesterday so that I could grow into tomorrow. I had to outgrow old expectations so that I could create some new expectations. I had to outgrow my past victories so that I could have some fresh new victories. You see, you don't want to go to something, you want to grow to something. And when you grow to something, when you get there, you're ready. You're ready because you've taken that journey and because you understand that process. And you are prepared. You are prepared because you are a growing individual. And I've seen a huge difference. You see, and who I am growing on the inside determines how much I'm going to grow on the outside. And my willingness to grow determines my capacity to lead. When I listen to Brian, and I've known him for several years, and he's such a wonderful person, such a wonderful leader. But when I watch him sit here and talk to you out of great maturity and much experience, I thought to myself, here's a man who has made his goal in life to grow in life. And he's not the same person he was 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago. In fact, if I had if you ask me what a big dream I could have, if I had a real big dream for you, know what that big dream would be? I would like you to grow so much in the next year that a year from now, you would have to reintroduce yourself to yourself. You would look in the mirror and say, yes! I've seen that face. I think I know that person. But that you would have grown so much that you'd have to reintroduce yourself to yourself. And by the way, that you would grow so much if you've got friends you haven't seen for 2 years, they wouldn't have a clue who you were. I mean, I've gone back to see old friends like the high school reunion. And I only needed 5 minutes of conversation. 5 minutes. I mean, nobody was home. Their mouth was moving, but the light hadn't been turned on. You know what I'm talking about? They haven't moved. And I want you to be vibrant and moving and learning and growing. Because all joy and all excitement and all passion is what you're learning now, what you're experiencing now. I mean, trust me, my father was a president of university for 17 years. I got 3 degrees, so I got academics all down. But I'm telling you, why were so many classes boring? Why were so many professors boring? Because they were living off of 20-year-old notes. 20-year-old notes. And I look at them and say, come on. I mean, if I was the president of a university, I've had a few opportunities, and I always say no, because the faculty members would not want me to be the president of the university. We would kill tenure real quick. I have this idea you ought to earn your way. You ought to be good today. And I tell those professors what they need to do every 3 years is they need to go get them a job. Don't teach for a year, go live for a year. Then come back and teach again. Because your best teaching is not what you know. Your best teaching is what you're learning and living. That's where the passion is. And when it comes to growth, well, let me give you one more thought. This is probably the best way I can summarize growth for me. For me, growth is joy. It's just your joy. I had a mentor in my 30s who defined growth as happiness. He said, let me define growth for you. He said, it's happiness. And for years I took that, but happiness is too light of a word at 70. I'll have to say growth is joy. And joy means, number one, that I'm full of lifetime growth. So at 70, my well is full. I had a friend who celebrated his 20th year working in a job, and to be honest with you, he was a very boring, mundane person. And he came and said, John, he said, I'm celebrating 20 years of being on the job. And he said, I've had 20 years of experience. And I said, no, you haven't. I said, you've had 1 year of experience 20 times. I'm just full of growth. I'm 70 and the well is so full. And I'm growing and I'm learning so much. And I'm learning more than I've ever learned before. And I'm experiencing more than I've ever experienced before. And so to me, growth is joy. And it's joy because I'm living my mission. I'm living my passion. My mission is to add value to people. And my passion is to develop a lifestyle of constant growth. And I'm loving this. I'm loving this. I'm here by choice today. I'm here by choice. When Edmund comes up, the answer is yes. Yes, yes. And I'm here because I get to be with you, and I get to add value to you, and I get to help put you on a growth track today. And this is going to be, for hundreds of you, thousands of you today, you understand, this is going to be life-changing because we're going to give you a plan of growth today. We're going to put in your hand resources and tools. You are about to change and never be the same again. And tell them, you ain't going to know me in a year. Go ahead and tell them that. You're not going to know me in a year. And you see, I'm having so much joy because I'm still growing. This is what's beautiful. I'm still growing. I'm still learning. I'm still experiencing. You see, when I started this growth journey, I thought that there was an end. I thought like you started and you finished. And I heard Earl Nightingale say that if you would spend 5 years on an hour every day for 5 years on one certain given subject, you become an expert on that subject. And it's in my very young 20s, and I said I want to become an expert on leadership, so I decided to give an hour a day on the subject of leadership for 5 years, so that in 5 years I could become an expert on leadership. And so the first year I'm doing this every day, an hour. I'm saying, boy, how long will it take? Well, 4.5 years, 4 years, 3.5 years, 3. I thought it was Cape Canaveral. How long will it take? 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 Well, I think I'm getting closer. How long will it take? How long will it take? And in the year number 3, I changed. And I've never asked the question, how long will it take again? Never asked it. You see, I don't ask the question, how long will it take? Because it's been replaced by a greater question. It's not, how long will it take? That sounds a little immature. Kind of sounds like your children on a trip with a back seat. Are we there yet? There yet? How long will it take? How long will it take? You see, when I really fell in love with personal growth, I quit asking how long will it take, and I started asking how far can I go? And I'm still asking that question. See, I've been on a growth plan now, hang on, for 45 years. That's why I'm so stinking good at this. That's why the well is full. I mean, I can talk to you, I can talk to you all day about personal growth. I mean, it's an endless subject to me. I can give you stories, I can give you principles, I can give you illustrations. I love the guy who came up to me one time and said, well, what is your personal growth plan? So I just had a couple minutes, so I kind of, in essence, described it to him. And I'll never forget, when I finished, he looked at me, and I was kind of sprite me. He looked at me and said, well, I don't like that plan. You don't have to like the plan. I looked at him and I said, let me ask you a question. What's your growth plan? Well, he said, well, I don't have it. Well, I said, I like mine better. You see, when it comes to personal growth, developing yourself, you have got to be intentional. This is something that you have to do on purpose. Again, this visual illustration says everything that I could ever say to you this morning about personal growth. Just an old man who forgot what he was going to say next. Don't egg me on. We can be here all day, I can tell you. My second gift is comedy, trust me. It says it all right here. Everything worthwhile is uphill. There is nothing in your life, and there is nothing in my life worthwhile that didn't take a tremendous amount of energy and effort. Yeah. No one ever coasted their way to success. Yeah. And no one ever had overnight success. And there is no secret